Hey guys, so for today's video, I have decided to do the try a volume tag, and try a volume tag was a video that I saw by Banzai Sura, and basically she picked up a bunch of shonen manga, and then she wanted to see which one she would start collecting, and that way it kind of just like you try one volume. Usually a volume, in my opinion, should be enough to see if you enjoy the series, if you like the characters, if you are truly invested in what is happening. Sometimes you need a little bit more, so you try another volume, but if you didn't like the first volume, I usually don't pick up the second or anything after. But that's where this video comes into play. We're trying a bunch of volumes, but instead of it being shonen manga, I personally chose just manga I usually wouldn't choose. I looked at different art styles, I looked at different genres, different synopses, and then some of which I thought was interesting based on the synopsis, but I usually wouldn't pick it up. So that's how I decided what to pick up, and I have a lot of different varying manga, so I'm not sure how this is gonna work, but I have read all of them. I'll be covering all of them. At the end, I will be doing a ranking to see which one I enjoyed the most, which one I enjoyed the least, and then I'll also be telling you guys what I will keep collecting and what I will stop collecting, because I am not sure if I want to be collecting this much, especially when I have some long-running series. So, the first one that I'm going to start with today, it's more of a lighter manga. It is very much slice of life, but it's not the usual slice of life that we have. And that manga is Hakume and Mikochi by Takuto Kashiki. And this manga is basically about these two girls. They live together, and it's basically about how their lives work and what kind of jobs they have, what kind of world they live in. It's not a tiny world, but they're tiny people, and because they're tiny mini people, they live in a tree, and you get to see all of the other tiny people, their towns, what their world looks like, what their jobs are, how they do their jobs. You also get to see how they go camping, for example, how they view birds, because birds are so much bigger than them, and it's just a wonderful world. But to me, I usually don't read slice of life. I thought that the art style was fantastic. I was very, very much invested in these characters too, just by the way they looked. They look very cute and adorable, and not only that, but they also have personalities. It's not super childish, it's not super mature, and you see a lot of interesting developments and stuff, but it's all just chill, low-key, and it's kind of just a manga you would sit down while you're relaxing, and you just pick it up and you continue reading. I really thought it was very enjoyable, but like I said, I usually don't read slice of life because of the fact that there isn't really a plot, and for me, I love plot-centered stories, or plot-centered stories with character-driven stories. I don't mind that if it's character-driven, but I do need some kind of plot there for me to usually keep collecting, because then you don't know how long it's gonna last, you don't know how long it's gonna be, which sometimes is enjoyable. But I just think that for me, I don't know if I want to be spending that money at the moment, but it was definitely enjoyable for me. The next manga that I want to be covering today is one that is very hyped up. It's a very popular series. It's not uncommon for people to be collecting this one, and the anime series is also very popular. I believe it has 2 seasons, and I always see people hyping it up. I always see people really excited about this one, and that is Mob Psycho 100. Now, let me explain why this is one I wouldn't normally pick. As you can see on the screen by the art, I felt like it would be a very minimalistic art style. I'd seen One Punch Man by one, and I'm not talking about the Viz one, his webcomic. In his webcomic, the art wasn't really for me. I couldn't read the One Punch Man webcomic just because I couldn't get into his art style, and for me, that is a big gripe when it comes to manga. I have to enjoy the art style or else I can't really read it. However, when I went into Mob Psycho 100, I actually was very, very greatly surprised, and in a good way. I would say that there's definitely like a plot, but it's more, I would say, I guess kind of character driven, and you want to know like what happens because you actually get attached to Mob. Like Mob is a chill dude, and well, I guess he's my opinion of chill. He kind of wants to be popular. Like he doesn't think, I guess, too much of his powers, and you get to know somewhat why in the first volume, and you see that he kind of has a normal life, but he's not exactly a normal person because he has this ability, and you get to see how he works, but he's kind of being used at work, which you see in, I believe it's the first or second chapter, and I just thought it was a very interesting take on everything, and I don't really usually see stuff like this in manga. Maybe that's just me, but I thought that not only is it a well-tailored telling of Mob's life, it isn't really super hyper-focused on his powers. His powers are there, but you read more for the, I guess, the happenings of everything. Is he gonna find out that his boss is a fraud and he's just using him? What is he gonna do next? Things like that. You just keep reading to see what happens, and I think that the art style is actually really good in comparison to what I thought it would be. I don't know, I guess I didn't really think that it would look as good as it did, and it's still minimalistic, don't get me wrong, it's simple, but that doesn't take away from the story, it doesn't take away from the telling of the manga, and it doesn't take away from the whole experience of everything, and I think that I will probably continue reading this. Mob Psycho, he has like psychic powers, right? And he can use them, and they've developed from when he was younger, and they're much stronger now. He doesn't think too much of it. He's aware that he has his powers, but he's like, boss is still better than me, and his boss is a fraud, right? But you still, like, you want to see him gain more friends, you want to see him get to know more people, you want to see him connect with more people, and over the course of this manga you see like his interests in what he wants and what he wants to achieve, and how that drives him to make his decisions, how he makes his decisions, aka based on the things that he wants. And I would say they're very much attainable, but I think that he tries to take shortcuts because he really wants to get there, and he really wants to have, I guess, more friends in a way. He kind of just wants people to care about him more, and I thought it was a fantastic read. I don't know if I'll be collecting this right now, but I definitely want to collect this at some point. I just don't know how long it's going to be going for, and for me that's usually a scare. So if I ever am in a time where I'm like, what do I want to order next, I'll definitely order more Mob Psycho, but for the time being, this isn't like a favorite of mine, but I did enjoy it. The next one I read, that would be Something's Wrong with Us. Now, this, for me, seems like it's completely under the radar. I looked on Mal, and on Mal there are no reviews, no nothing like that. I looked on Byte Stuff, I saw no reviews, I'll probably leave one. This was, in my opinion, probably my favorite out of all of the ones that I've read in this video. Something's Wrong with Us, in my opinion, was very strong. Like, it was a very good story for me. I believe it's my first Josei reading, and I think that this manga was excellent. I don't know if I didn't focus on the cover, but here's the cover. You see these two characters, and her name is Now, and I'll explain some more what the story is about. And this is by Natsumi Ando, but she is a very interesting character. In the beginning of the story, you see her and her mother, and they're living in like this, it's kind of like a sweet shop. I don't know what the technical word was for it. It's been a little bit of a while since I read it, but her mom makes a certain kind of sweet, and she's like everyone's favorite chef. You get to kind of find out, I don't know if the word would be chef, but like she makes the sweet and she is excellent at it, and she teaches her daughter, and her daughter learns from her, and she also enjoys this like sweet making thing. And they live in the place that they work at, which is like this, I don't know if I'd call it a sweet shop or a sweet restaurant or something like that, but they make sweets there, right? And her mom ends up being framed for the murder of this guy's father, and he is the one who framed her. And you know that even in the synopsis, it's right there. So you kind of know, you do know that from the beginning, and the story is kind of her trying to figure out what to do, how she's going to do that. And it's just, I think it was handled so well. You see her love and passion for the sweet making, and it is definitely hurting her that her mom is in prison, or I don't know if she was in prison or jail, probably prison because it was murder, but she definitely gets kicked out with her mom because they were living at the place they work at, so they can't really do that, you know, if they killed the guy who owns it, their boss. So because of that, they disband, and I believe the heir, the guy who framed her, is the guy who takes over the company eventually when she gets older, and she wants to also make sweets like her mom. That was her passion, and it was her mom's passion. But you see that, and it's a very, very interesting thing. You see how she's so fixated on doing snacks, but she also seems like she's kind of a little bit awkward sometimes, and she's not good at standing her ground. But I think she definitely improves over time because she's just worrying about her job and stuff. And when you see, there's a certain point where the story kind of takes a flip on you. She gets hired for this job, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but after that, things kind of like snowball, and we get to the part that the synopsis was talking about, is where she's kind of like starts falling for him, but I think the synopsis is also a little elusive, and you have to think more about it, because it very much seems like she could be falling for him, but on the other hand, she could be using him to find out how was my mom framed, because she ends up finding out that she was framed, and then she doesn't know the why, she doesn't know the how, and that's kind of the whole story. But the first volume is just setting it up, and everything is just done so well. The art is incredible, the storytelling is fantastic, and I personally will definitely be collecting more of this ASAP. I've already ordered volume 2, and I don't know if I want to pre-order the next volume 3, but I'll definitely be getting volume 3. It's definitely on my radar. It's definitely something that I'm looking forward to, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for a very interesting read. And also the sweet making part, like, it was very enjoyable, and it made me want to try the sweets. So yeah, I highly recommend trying this manga. The next one we have is Complex Age. Complex Age, I feel like, is very out of where I would normally pick up manga. It feels like it's kind of in a niche, or it wouldn't have a huge following. It's not a completely long series. I think it has either 6 or 8 volumes total. It's complete. I have not collected anything past this because, like I said, I am just trying to see and ponder if I'm going to give any of these another try. And this one, Complex Age, this is the art, by the way, Complex Age by Yui Sakuma. And Complex Age, like I said, is very, very different from what I would usually read myself. I think it was really good at what it was telling, but I feel like the first volume was a little bit slow, and I get that that's because it was setting up the story, and setting up what events would take place. And it's about this Nagisa Katara, and in secret she still lives with her parents and she has like an office job, but despite that she keeps herself a secret. She loves to cosplay, she loves to custom make cosplay, and she loves to look exactly like the character down like to the mark, where if she custom makes everything so that she looks exactly like the character, and it hurts her if she doesn't look exactly like the character, and it even bothers her when other people aren't as serious about cosplay as her, which I thought was definitely interesting, because I've definitely seen things like that happen where you are very passionate about a subject or a hobby or whatever, and then some people don't take it as seriously as you, and it kind of just hurts. But for her it's more of like an anger, because she's spending so much time on this and it seems like they don't care, which I definitely understand, but that's also another form of gatekeeping, and I think that she is struggling with that a little bit. I guess it might be because she spends so much time on it that it bothers her when other people aren't, I guess, as passionate as it about her. But some people, she needs to understand that like they're genuinely trying, they're just not that fixated on looking like the character, and that's, I think it's perfectly okay, but I also understand where she's coming from. I think that this manga also has a fantastic cast, even though the plot wasn't necessarily for me because it felt a little bit slow. If you want to learn more about cosplaying and you love a good cast of characters, I actually still would recommend this. I think that the cast of characters is fantastic. A lot of them have different personalities, but it's not like black and white personalities. They all have layers. They all have things they think about. They're very mindful. The mangaka made very sure, and at least that's how I saw it, to focus on the character perspective. You see things from the MC, Nagisa. You see them from her perspective, you see them from Nagisa's perspective, but sometimes you usually find out that just because she was thinking of it this way doesn't mean that that's the intention that the other person had, and they show that to her, and they show that through the storytelling, and I think this manga is a perfect representation of show don't tell. Not only do you see her working, sometimes you get like some snippets of info about cosplay and stuff, but you also get to know how the characters think, and I think that that's the biggest part of this manga. I think that if you want a good cast of characters, that's what this manga is mainly about, and that's how they develop the story. I'm actually very curious and will probably pick up volume 2 to see if I keep going with this or not, but you kind of don't see any like big what's gonna happen moment until the very end of the volume. Sorry, not the end of the volume, the chapter before the last one, because the very last chapter is the telling of a one-shot, basically. It's like the one-shot that inspired this manga to get made, and that one is about Lolita, I believe. Lolita fashion, and expressing yourself through that, and the difference between doing Lolita when you're younger and doing Lolita when you're older, and how sometimes your hobbies start to not work with you, or the communities start to question you just because of your age. And I actually really enjoyed the one-shot as well. I think the one-shot was a perfect story telling, but it was a real story. Like, it definitely feels like something that would happen, and I guess that's kind of how this whole manga is written. Everything is realistic. There's nothing far-fetched, in my opinion. And even the crossing at the end, the big, like, cliffhanger. But the big cliffhanger at the end of the normal manga part is very, very reasonable. It's very realistic, and I think that this manga is trying to tackle, like, a real issue of sometimes your hobbies and your interests conflict with your job, and that's definitely realistic. It happens a lot to people, and sometimes your hobbies and your interests are what you want to do, but you don't want to take that risk because you need that job for money, because you have bills to pay and things like that. And that's why I really, really want to try this manga again, I enjoyed volume 1, but I wasn't like fixated on it. It felt a little bit slow for me, like I said, and I wasn't zooming through it. So I'll definitely give it another try. And I think if you are interested in the cosplaying community, in cosplaying in general, and you do want a manga that has a good, great, excellent cast of characters, even though I didn't love the main character, I still liked her. I was still rooting for her. I still wanted her to have some character development, but it's not like she's some horrible person. So I think we'll definitely be seeing that character development and seeing her hopefully calm down toward other cosplayers and understanding that not everyone is as engaged with cosplaying and to the same degree that she is, and she needs to see that that's okay. So if you're interested, definitely give Complex Age a try. The last manga that I read was Lieselot and the Witch's Forest by Natsuki Takaya. Now, I'm not sure if this is the same artist that did Fruits Basket, but I feel like it might be. I'm not 100% sure. I'll probably end up checking and putting like a check mark on the screen if I was right. But Lieselot and the Witch's Forest was a very interesting read. It wasn't 100% what I was expecting, and the author or the mangaka tells you, like in an author's note in the middle of the manga, that it's not meant to be taken super seriously and it's more lighthearted, which isn't exactly what I was looking for, but I definitely understand the take, and it might make for a really great manga. And basically, the story is about Lieselot, her and these two twins, and I'm not sure of their position at her home. I'm not sure if they were just living there, I don't think they were butlers or anything like that, but they felt very loyal to her. And she, along with them, their names are Alto and Anna, they all moved to the east, or the east of the east of the east, or something like that, and it's told that in that faraway land that there are witches. It's kind of not confirmed, but obviously we know through the title. However, it's kind of like a myth or a folktale for them that they share with a lot of people, and that's something that they all have most likely heard, and you kind of see that in the early manga, but they don't really believe in it. And she ends up having an interaction with the witch, and then this guy saves her, and then she realizes, oh crap, this guy looks like my childhood best friend, and he kind of ends up living with them, and you just see, it's very slice of lifey, but it doesn't feel like a huge fluffy romance either. I'm not sure if they'll end up together. I mean, they most likely will. It's also not like it's a harem or reverse harem, sorry. It's just, I feel like it's going to be a very slow burn romance with like a very, very loose, not loose, but like a very, not very focused on plot. Like the plot is existing there, but you don't tackle like the witch concept too much, but you know it's there, and you know there's a big mystery surrounding this guy who she thinks might be her childhood best friend, but he doesn't have the same name. And so you have that, and then we have another character that joins later, and I don't want to speak too much on him just in case some people think that might be a spoiler. I probably wouldn't see it as a spoiler, but I just don't want to talk too much about the details. But there's a big mystery surrounding, oh, why did she leave her old home? What happened there? There's a big mystery towards the witches, because you kind of don't know, like, what are the witches? Why do the witches exist? What are their intentions? You also, the character that joins after this childhood best friend looking guy, that character that joins, who does that character with? Like, the character is kind of like, I guess you could call him like a pet or a familiar or something, so he could belong to a witch, he could belong to a person, he could be a free person or whatever, but you kind of like wonder, like, where did this person come from? Who is this person? What is this person's like connections? Why does this person have these capabilities, these powers? Who is this childhood best friend looking guy? If he is the same best friend, why does he have a different name? Why is he a little shady? Why did he just move in like that? I feel like it's very interesting, and although it's not a mystery, like it's not focused on being a mystery, I think that it's definitely something that I want to find out more about, and I probably might end up picking the next volume or two to see where things are going, because I really want to know. Like, I want to know the mystery, and I feel like they invested you a little bit into the twins as well, and why they don't trust a random person living in their house. And I think that the cast is fantastic. I loved all of the cast, and I can't really tell you that I disliked anyone, quite honestly. I really like Lisa Lott's character, and I think she really has so much respect for the twins that she brought with her, Alto and Anna. And although she's not really good at anything, Lisa Lott, she is still trying so hard to make this life work for her. She's living her life, you know? Even though she's left her old home behind, she's trying so hard to get better at the things that she wasn't really good at before, and she's not really good at now, because she wants to make this work. And I think that it really lights up the room. I feel like when you're reading about her and you read and you see what she's doing, like, she tries to get a garden and she tries to cook, and although she struggles and doesn't do very well, you're still rooting for her because she's trying really, really hard, and you want that for her. So I definitely enjoyed this one, and will probably pick it up for the next 2 or 3 volumes at least. I really hope it's not a super long series, because I have a lot of series that I still need to collect and that I want to collect, but I don't want to collect so many different things at once because I have trouble keeping up with that, and I also don't have a huge consistent income, especially right now. Those were all of the manga. Now we will be rating them from my least favorite to my favorite. I'm going to be telling you just the order, and I decided this mostly based on enjoyment. At first, I was thinking I'd sort them by collectability, as in what do I want to collect the most, and then what do I want to collect the least. But then I felt like that wasn't fair, because I'll explain that, I guess, when I go over the thing that changed my decision. So the thing sitting at the bottom right now for me is Complex Age. I'm very likely to pick up the next volume, like I said, but for me, the story and the slow pacing wasn't the best thing in the world. But like I said, all of these manga were enjoyable. I did not dislike any of them, so keep that in mind. The next thing that I picked was Hakume and Mikochi, and I realized that I forgot to say that that's not the whole title. I guess I forgot to read that part. It's Hakume and Mikochi, Tiny Little Life in the Woods. So yeah, I think that this had a lot of enjoyability for me. I just love seeing cute characters, and I love seeing and living in their world. So even though it was slice of life, which I personally don't like spending money on because I don't know how long it's going to go for, in terms of enjoyability, I actually enjoyed this a ton, but I felt like I couldn't put it higher on the list because I can't really invest too much money in it, because I have to invest in the plot-driven series first. That's my mentality. The next one that I went with was Mob Psycho 100. Like I said, it has a really fantastic storytelling capability, and even though I was offset by the art at first, I definitely was okay with it while I was reading it, so it's not something that throws the manga off my shelf. The next one is Lisa Lott and the Witch's Forest. Lisa Lott and the Witch's Forest, like I said, it has a lot of mystery, and for me, mystery is something that always keeps me coming back, and I just feel like I have to collect more to at least find out what's happening. Like, I don't care too much about if the romance is gonna happen anytime soon. Like, it honestly didn't feel like a romance for me. In fact, they might end up being just like normal best friends. I don't know. But she definitely, I feel like, will end up falling for him, especially after he saved her from the witch. So, Liesel and the Witch's Forest is my second most likely to collect on here, and the first one I can already tell you, like, you kind of probably saw this coming. It's Something's Wrong with Us. I okay, so in the beginning when I read the synopsis the first time, I was like, this, what the hell? But the synopsis definitely engaged me, and while I was reading the story, it just made it so much better for me. And I love the art style. I love everything in this manga. This manga did that for me, and it is probably my favorite read of 2020 overall, even though I've read so much great manga this year so far. So Something's Wrong with Us, for me, top tier manga. Definitely recommend if you're interested in a story like that, even though no, it will be messy. It will definitely be messy. So overall, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Follow me on Twitter. I'll put that on the screen. Follow me on Instagram. I'll put that on the screen. Follow me on Twitch. I'll put that on the screen as well. That wasn't there before, but it is there now. Please go donate to the Lebanon Red Cross, because hopefully you all know what happened. If you don't, look into it, and they definitely need our donations, so please go do that as well. Thank you so much. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Once again, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get notified whenever I upload. I'm sorry my schedule is a little inconsistent, but I am trying. I've been a little stressed out with some other things, and I'm trying to work on getting myself motivated to do more. And you'll also see some of that. I'm very active on Twitter, so you can always engage with me, DM me, whatever, and we can chat about manga, especially manga that, if you've seen that I've collected them. A lot of the manga that I haul, by the time that the month is over, I'd have read almost everything in that, so I definitely want to hear more from you guys. If you've read any of these, please comment and tell me your opinions of them, but please don't spoil anything in case someone else hasn't read them and they want to. In that case, like I said, please feel free to DM me on Instagram or Twitter. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys had a great day.